Today we're going to make caldo verde, a quick, easy, and healthy bowl of comfort from northern Portugal. If you're ready for a hearty and nourishing soup, get your aprons on and let's get cooking.
If you're new to the channel, I'm Geronimo, and I'm a professional chef and product designer in the San Francisco Bay Area.
All right, friends, I'm excited to get this recipe started. This has been a recipe that we've been cooking almost every week, as it's been really healthy and easy for a weeknight dinner. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get our pot heated up here. I got a large sauce pot, soup pot, and I'm gonna bump it up to medium. Let that heat up a bit, and then we'll drop in 2 tablespoons of, I've got grass-fed butter here. But first, let's get our aromatics ready. So I got onion, green onion, and garlic here. Usually this recipe calls for 1 whole onion, but I didn't have that in the pantry. And trust me, I'm not the one who cut this onion in half this way. This is kind of like a pantry cleanup thing. Just using what I have, the green onions will be able to help us add that nice allium flavor. Just cut that up. The recipe usually calls for dicing the onions, but we can just thinly slice them. They'll break down nicely in the soup. So I did travel to Portugal back in maybe about 10 years ago, if I can recall. Funny thing is, when I was there was a lot of things with my name, Geronimo, but with a J, as that is a saint out there. And honestly, I don't think I had caldo verde when I was up there, but I did eat a lot of bacalhau, which is like a salted fish. It's pretty good. We can use all of it since we didn't have a whole onion. I'm just gonna use this entire green onion all the way to the top with the leaves. Just get those allium flavors going. You can just drop in the butter, and then once it's melted, we'll add in the onions. And what I love about this soup is it's not, very meat forward. It's actually vegetable forward with its potatoes and the green kale. So it's hearty, but it also feels light at the same time. So it's been a perfect weeknight meal dinner for us. Since we don't like to eat heavy protein dinners, we've just noticed we sleep a lot better when we eat something starchy and less protein forward, which makes a lot of sense because your body has to break down the proteins, and it does take a bit of time to break down protein in the body, and you don't want to do that at nighttime. You sleep a lot better when you sleep cool. So the butter's melting here. Important to note, I am using unsalted grass-fed butter, as I like to control the salt content in my dishes. Now I'll take some of the onion, that in there. Yep. And I'm excited for this soup for dinner tonight too, because the soup also gets really creamy from the starches from the potatoes, especially the russet potato, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But here, let's cook down our aromatics. And while that starts to break down and get soft. All right, so our onions and garlic are starting to get soft and break down a little bit. So it's a good time to add some salt. Smells to get it ready from all that butter. And it's grass-fed, so it's healthy, right? It wouldn't be a proper Portuguese European dish if you didn't add a lot of olive oil, so we'll add a bit of that in there to keep the mixture nice and loose. Continue to let this soften and break down. So now we have our potatoes, very key to this dish to make it nice and creamy. As I mentioned, the russet potato, it's pretty starchy. It nicely breaks down in the soup and makes it creamy. And then Yukon Gold potatoes, they're creamy themselves, but they hold their structure. So it'll add a nice bit of texture and chunkiness to the soup. Traditionally, the soup is pureed down in terms of the potatoes. So this is not the most traditional recipe. We're not gonna puree the potatoes. I'm gonna keep it nice and chunky. It's up to you. If you want, you can. Just cook the potatoes down in the broth, and you can use an immersion blender to get it nice and smooth. All right, so we have our potatoes peeled here. Chop it down into fourths, just like that. You don't have to be too precise, but let's do 1/4 inches. Since a lot of these potatoes are gonna kind of break down in the soup. These are breaking down nice. This is good enough, so we can bring some of the potatoes over now. Oops. Potatoes. All right, so we've got our potatoes in here. Let's mix it up a little bit. And now I'm just gonna add in 6 cups of chicken broth. And then we're gonna let this simmer until the potatoes get tender. Bump up the heat to get it to a simmer. And as this gets up to a simmer, we can start breaking down the kale and add that in. So here I've got the kale. This is the green part of the soup. Caldo verde literally means green soup. What we want to do is just chop up real fine. So I'm gonna take off the leaves. These aren't your big kale, so I can't just like rip them off really fast and easily. And it's really tasty because adding the greens really gives it a nice vegetal flavor. So it definitely tastes nice and healthy, and the greens get really tender along with the potatoes. So this is just one bunch of kale. So a trick here is it's kind of thick. What you want to do is get your kale leaves and then roll them up. Just like that. And you can slice them up thin. You can also do this with herbs. There you got your finely chopped kale. Okay, as we can see here, the soup is starting to simmer. So now it's a good time to add in the kale that we have nicely finely chopped up here. And then we're gonna cook down the kale and let the soup simmer to tenderize the potatoes for about 25 to 30 minutes. We really want to get those potatoes nice and tender. Such a healthy soup. Look at all those veggies. But while we let that simmer away, we can start cutting up the linguiça or sausage that will go on top to garnish with the soup. This is already fully cooked. I can't actually recall if I've had linguiça before. Usually when we cook this at home for my fiance, we use another chicken sausage that she can have. She can't have this one because it's got some ingredients that she can't have. But this is a traditional Portuguese sausage and is supposed to go with caldo verde. So here we've got the linguiça. I'm pretty sure the other day I was calling it linguica. I mean, it definitely looks like linguica, but you just chop it up in 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch chunks if you're like me and kind of precise about everything. I measure with my finger because I like being precise. These are nice bite-sized chunks. Since these are already cooked, we'll toss them in at the end to get them warmed up. You can use it as garnish if you want and include as many as you want, but I like it in the soup. And if you can't find linguiça, you can use any other garlicky sausage out there. So for the purists, here's the linguiça. And once the soup is done, we can throw this in there. Linguiça, remember, not linguica. And take a look at this soup. Oh yeah, looks good. All right, let's dig in. All right, y'all, it's time to do the taste test, and sorry about missing the last part of making this soup the GoPro cut out. But you didn't miss too much. I just mashed up the potatoes a little bit with a masher to make the soup a little bit more creamy, without needing to blend it to make that kind of traditionalist style soup. And then I stirred in the linguiça and then salted it to taste and some pepper as well. Now we got the soup here and it's looking really good and creamy. All the veggies are broken down, nice and tender and soft. I'm gonna try the broth real quick first. Oh yeah, ooh, that's tasty. It's nice and creamy from the broken down russet potatoes and the starches. And it has some of that like kind of green vegetal flavor from the kale, which is really nice. So the soup is kind of hot, but I'm gonna take a bite of the sausage, a little bit of the broth and the veggies. And here we go, bon appetit. Oh wow, that's super good. Honestly, the linguiça kind of tastes like kielbasa. So I might have had it before, but the soup is super delicious, nice and creamy. The linguiça goes really well with it actually, so highly recommend. And there's tons of veggies, take a look at this. And we made this in no time, it was super easy, like about 10 minutes of prep. And this makes for the perfect weeknight meal dinner, and it's super wholesome. I really hope you try and make it. If you enjoyed this video, check out my video here where I show you how to make arroz caldo, another wholesome, comforting, nourishing dish that's also a soup. It's a caldo. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.